Hi, everyone. My name is Olga, and I'm co-founder of Play2Max. And today I'm gonna talk about HTML5 games and how they can be interesting for mobile market in general. But first of all, let me introduce myself. So I'm with Play2Max for the past 12 years, and we've been on the market through this whole time developing HTML5 games. Currently, we focus on H5 outsourcing development, also playable ads development, and we also have a portfolio of our own casual games for websites. We are a team of 35 people and are based in Ukraine. Throughout these 12 years on the market, we've developed lots and lots of different projects, gaming, playable ads, and so on. So let me tell you briefly about what we're going to talk about today. So the perspective that I want to give is going to be about mobile games and how they could utilize HTML5 to broaden their audience, to catch new users, new players into their titles. I'm going to tell you about HTML5 in general, what it is, who are the players, who are the distributing channels. I will show you some project examples. We'll just briefly talk about engines that there are on the market and which technology to use. And of course, where to start if you're going to be inspired by my talk. So let's kick off. On this funny GIF picture, you can see that everything is fine. And it actually is, but with some buts. First of all, the last couple of years for mobile market have been quite, I would say, interesting, right? First, Apple with their IDFA for iOS 14, and it has a great deal for the market, and everyone were trying to figure out what to do next with all this. Then Google added its Android advertising ID and so on. So this was one of the first like big shakes on the market, right? Then the recent news with Unity has shaken the market once again. Of course, this is not something we're going to talk about today. But for a couple of weeks, when the news came, the huge uncertainty with the plans and strategies were shown on the market. And on top of that, the consolidation, basically huge M&As that has been on the market. Savvy Games buying Scopely, Take-Two Interactive acquiring Zynga, Sega buying Rovia, and so on. And basically, in terms of M&A, it complicates everything for the market because the big guys, they just are getting bigger and they have money. And for smaller ones, it's getting harder and harder to compete with those big ones. And it adds additional difficulties for mobile games. And I have to say, I'm not offering any silver bullets here, but what I'm going to talk about today and what I want to achieve is to give you additional perspective and just give you this thought about considering HTML5 market as a diversification. And this is where H5 comes to the scene as an additional potential source of user acquisition and in general of players, right? So let's see what the technology is. What is HTML5? It is HTML5 games are browser-based games that are usually developed with either JavaScript or TypeScript, and they are cross-platform, which means that they can be launched on PC web, on mobile, on smart TVs, and so on. And the main beauty of the technology is that the users, they don't need to install anything. They access the game seamlessly by just opening it in the browser. And And the next thing is, I would say, the cost of development. Of course, all depends on the type of the game you're developing and on the scale of it. But in general, the hourly cost of JS developer is lower than the same specialist in Unity, for example. And the other factor is the cost of user acquisition. In web, it's much lower than on mobile, which is actually a great deal to consider for publishers and developers. And depending on how you want to manage the game, the variety of distributing channels is huge. It's not only Apple and Google who basically rule the world. There are tons of channels you might consider to utilize the distributing of your game. And again, it's all going to be the same code, and just the SDKs are going to change. And of course, each channel would have its own specifics, its own audience, but we're going to talk about this a little bit later today. And when talking about the peculiarities of HTML5 game market and any game market in general, the main thing is about the players, right? Otherwise, why would we develop games? And I have to say that for a long time, the common impression was dictated by the legacy. Of course, when HTML5 games just appeared, they came to change as an alternative to Flash games. And we all remember those small casual games like puzzle, physics games with a short gameplay session with limited content. And for a long time, this was the case, actually. But nowadays, I'm happy to say that technology has moved a lot since the very beginning. And currently, we can basically utilize the technology and develop anything we want, 3D, 2D, and so on. And the technology still evolves, and it's giving us more and more opportunities to develop really great and compatible games for the market. But yeah, let's talk about the players. Not so long ago, Google and Kantar have published their H5 gaming report in June 2023. And they have done a great job like analyzing the players of HTML5 market. First of all, they project that the market would reach over $3 billion by 2028, which is huge, right? And the most interesting part for me, and the most exciting one, was that among all the players that there are on the market, 42% of them actually do play HTML5 games. It's a huge figure, right? So we would always consider that not a lot of players spend their time with H5 games, but they actually are. And 50% of those players who play HTML5 games are actually serious ones, meaning they would play over 7 hours per week playing games. 65% of them play those games on smartphone, which is logical. And according to the survey, 71% of players said that they are more likely to download an app version if they enjoyed the game in web. And 70% of them said that they are totally fine with watching an ad for a reward. Which again gives us a lot of opportunities to monetize them. And speaking about monetization, we have to speak about the channels of distribution for them. Basically, when speaking about channels, I would divide them in three big groups. First one is the largest in terms of quantity. These are the web portals, and I can say that there are thousands of different portals of super different size, audience, and profitability. To give you some examples of great websites that are showing a huge success on HTML5 market, for example, Poki. They have 294 million players and 4.5 billion gameplays in 2022. The other great example is, for example, Crazy Games with over 25 million monthly users worldwide. When speaking about the next category, those are the game distributors. They basically provide other websites with the content. Basically, they are this type of content aggregators, and they are middlemen between the developers and the end users and websites. And one of the examples and one of the biggest ones is Game Distribution by Zerion. They work with over 4,000 different web sites, and they have millions of monthly users worldwide as well. And the other category is the category of social games. One of the oldest and biggest ones today is Facebook Instant Games. TikTok is testing games as well, and YouTube, for example, has recently soft launched their games in web as well. We're gonna see how it goes, but currently it's a huge buzz on the market with a lot of mobile developers starting to port their games to YouTube platform. Let's all hope for great results there, right? So as you can see, the distributing channels, the chain of them is huge. And if you go with your game as a non-exclusive one, you can cover a huge audience. And as I previously mentioned, the users who have never played your game before, they could find it due just to the coverage of a lot of distributing channels. And speaking about the channels, let me show you a couple of examples of super different mobile games that are already on HTML5 market. For example, it could be Voodoo with their games. Here you can see the Color Road example, and this game is currently published on Facebook Instant Games. Or for example, Madbox with their Hide and Smash, they have ported it, and now you can play it online on Poki.com. Same with Unico Studio and their Brain Test. And these are just a couple of examples to show you that big players of mobile markets are already on HTML5 as well. And another interesting example that I'm super excited about is the one by EasyBrain. As you might know, they are publishers of puzzle games. And among some of their popular titles are Sudoku and Solitaire. And what they've done, they've developed a web version of their games. And on that website, they are promoting their mobile version of the same game. And just imagine the use case, right? The player browse, he wants to play solitaire game, and he just Googles it. Due to lower costs on user acquisition in web, it's easier to be in the first results of Google for that player. And when they open the website, they start playing the game. They see that it's well done and they like it. And they see that they can actually continue playing with some additional mechanics or some additional meta gameplay on their mobile. And they are like, well, okay, I do like this game. I might consider playing it on mobile as well. So this shows basically a good and I would say cost-effective way of acquiring users additionally to your mobile game as well. So as you can see, there is this super straightforward banner next to the game, and the player can see it all the time. So this is another example. And I have to say that there are not only examples with mobile games, but for example, the Vampire Survivors game by Ponkel was first developed with HTML5 technology. So more and more people are considering the technology as a good start to do the prototype, soft launch the game, and see how it goes. It gives you an opportunity to basically save your time, save your costs for the development as well, and try the demos of your ideas with HTML5. Same with crosscode, for example. And so you decided that, okay, Olga, you told us a lot. It sounds interesting. We now know about the players. We now know about the distributing channels. We see that the big players are considering, or actually are on the market already. So where do we start? What should we choose? And in terms of engines and technologies, there are lots of them on the market. I've just showed you some of the most popular examples that there are on the market. Some of them are 2D, like Pixie or Phaser. Some of them are 3D, like 3GS, for example. We personally like Pixie.js and 3GS for our games, Pixie for the 2D and 3GS for 3D. But there are lots of information, lots of tutorials all over the internet, and it's not that hard to see what there is on the market and choose the best option for you. For example, with Pixie, it's just basically the renderer, not a lot of things on top of it. But Phaser, for example, it has lots of plugins and additional things to play with, which are already in this engine. And for if you are considering to start, maybe it could be your option. I don't know. But the great thing is that there are lots of things that are already developed for the technology, and I believe lots of things to come as well. So you're now well equipped, you know everything about the technology, about the market, and so what's next, where to start? And the main point that I want to make here is, of course, same as always, just do great games, develop them nicely. You have to remember that you have to choose the right channel for your game, because having a great game, as you know, it's not the whole deal. The next deal would be is where to reach your specific audience and how to properly choose the channel for that. So be conscious about your audience, remember about them, and always consider the right channel for yourself. And the main point that I'm super always stressing on is treat HTML5 players as real ones. They are, as you saw, they are the same, well, almost the same players that there are on other markets. And please don't think that HTML5 is just like 5 minutes puzzles in web. They are long time not. So I hope it was useful talk for you, and some of the points from it you will utilize for your next big projects for not only HTML5, but in general for gaming market. I thank you for the attention, and I'll be happy to connect with you on LinkedIn. And please, if you have any questions, just email me. I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.